Everyone loves dumb multiplayer games with your friends. Four idiots facing off against unfathomable horrors in the name of profit, glory, and, most importantly, stupidity. I found another game that fits that genre. Abyssus. Abyssus? Abyssus. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but will Abyssus stand the test of time and stand shoulder to shoulder with games like Helldivers and Deep Rock Galactic? Let's find out. I decided how to pronounce it during the sizzle. Abyssus is a game that absolutely surprised me. Full disclosure, I didn't think I'd be able to talk that much about Deficit yesterday. I went to my Steam Next Fest page and I checked the recommendations, and the only thing that stood out was Abyssus. So I figured I would use Abyssus as kind of like a filler for the rest of the Deficit episode. Man, am I glad I downloaded it, because now it has its own episode, which is really cool. Described as a fast-paced cooperative FPS and roguelike Brinepunk adventure, I figured I'd try it out. I used to play Payday 2. I like co-op shooters, so I thought it was right up my alley, and I love it. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I know what Brinepunk is, or what it means, or even if it's been around for 3 decades or whatever weird thing people will tell me, but I will say I love the aesthetic of it, whatever it happens to be. No, but like seriously, I don't even know if I'm saying the name right. Is it Abyssus? Abyssus? I don't know. I'm just gonna keep calling it Abyssus, okay? I'm afraid this review is just going to like spin off into the abyss, because there's so much about this game that I like. I want to like spew it at the screen, but I'm going to do my best to lock in and focus, I promise. So the game has a hub that you load into where you invite friends, change your loadouts, explore, shoot targets, that sort of thing. You can also see what trophies you've unlocked, which is actually pretty cool. Just as another note, when I was waiting for my friend Tim to load in so we could try the multiplayer, I found these surge things around the area in the hub. I wasn't really sure what they were, but I kept breaking them, and I'm still not sure what they did. So I guess there's that. From what I can tell, there's no real storyline. You're just there to do work for a company trying to find brine water, I think is what they call it. It doesn't really matter. I had way more fun with the game not caring what the story was. Oh my god, it's so freaking hot with these lights in here. When you first boot up the game, you do have to go through a tutorial, which gives you the basics, but honestly, I'm just going to skip over that and hop right into the weapons, the abilities, all that stuff. Every weapon has a primary and alternate fire, also called a secondary fire. The secondary fire of the engine gun, for example, allows you to fire rapidly and deal more damage, but your gun will overheat if you hold on to it for too long. The cool thing that I ended up liking about this is that the rapid fire doesn't deplete ammo from your main primary fire reserve. You can unload with that and then switch to primary, and it feels really cool. I got 2 other weapons during my demo playthrough, which gave me a total of 3, but there are 4 in total for this demo. The 4th one, the Tesla gun, requires beating the final challenge, but I'm bad. The second weapon that I found was the shotgun, which is a solid damage dealer, but it takes a long time to fire between rounds. There is an automatic upgrade to it, but this severely reduces the amount of damage that you do, even though it increases the clip size of the actual shotgun. The alternate fire on the shotgun is actually a big damage cone that deals even more damage and blows you back. It's kind of a fun way to get around the map as well as escape from enemies, especially if your dash is recharging. The other weapon that took me forever to find, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, was the revolver, which is sitting right next to the wardrobe when you get out of the tutorial. Yeah, I overlooked it for a really long time. I actually stopped writing this review just so I could go find the revolver and play with it. The revolver is a 6-shot gun, and you can fire as fast as you want to, which I really love. Usually with revolvers, they are slow to fire in these sorts of games. It has a really fast reload too, so it doesn't feel like you're completely taken out of combat when you do have to reload your weapon. The alternate fire on it is a scope that allows you to zoom in on the enemies, and it deals extra damage. I didn't think I'd end up using it a whole lot, but I really ended up liking it, especially when I paired it with specific power-ups that increase the amount of damage I would deal while using it. Speaking of, let's talk about these power-ups. Oh my god, that is a list and a half. Why did I write it like that? There are these altars that will appear after certain segments, which you use to gain powers. So far, I found a few of them, and they happen to be Fire, which does damage over time, Ice, which freezes regular enemies and slows bosses, Lightning, which is like chain attacks, Gold Burst, which deals extra damage and gives you extra gold, Tentacles, which summon a bunch of tentacles to throw things at your enemies, Spirit, which shoot ghosts into the face of enemies and deal a ton of damage, Night, which extends status effects that are on enemies, Barrier, which gives you an overshield once you charge it, and then Blood and Wind, both of which I did not try out. The way these power-ups work is when you approach an altar, you get 2 choices and then you pick from those 2 options. Then from there, it gives you 2 additional options if it's your first time choosing a power. You can choose to attach it to your primary fire, your secondary fire, or your ability. For example, let's say you've assigned your fire element to your secondary attack ability. Now, when you come across another altar and it offers you that fire option again, you get 2 more choices that augment your fire ability. If we're sticking with the fire example, every time you see the DOT number appear over their head, meaning they've taken damage from it, it actually extends the duration by 0.2 seconds. Or what you can do is take an ability that when you hit a critical spot on an enemy that's already on fire, it makes it so that DOT applies every time you hit that critical spot. Finally, every 3rd level is considered a major boon, and that gives you an even stronger version of the attack. These powers are probably the best thing about the game because when you start to combine them, you get very devastating effects. As an example, when I was playing with a friend, I had Gold Burst attached to my secondary fire, I had Lightning attached to my primary fire, and then I had Spirits attached to my utility, which were turrets. I was dealing massive damage to all enemies because my turrets were always up and they were always charging my spirit meter, which meant I was always shooting spirits into the face of bad guys. This dealt a lot of single unit damage, so it was really good for bosses or bigger enemies, but then when I was using Gold Burst on top of that, I was dealing even more damage to those enemies. With my Chain Lightning, I ended up being the massive crowd clear because I could focus on a group of enemies with my regular fire and take out tons of them at once. It worked really well in combination when fighting one of the bosses because they had a big crowd summon that they would do, and I could clear them really easily. It feels great, honestly. I just mentioned it, so I'll talk about it now, but you do have a utility ability that is on a cooldown. At the start, you get a grenade, which when it comes in contact with an enemy explodes or goes off after a set amount of time. This kind of feels like the place to mention that your starting stuff, your engine gun and your grenade, are actually really powerful abilities and really powerful weapons. It's not like other games where you start with something that feels really underpowered and you don't want to use it for the rest of the time that you're playing the game. No, I still use the engine gun. I still use the grenade sometimes. The grenade can be used to clear enemies really quickly, but it also has a rapid cooldown time, so you can keep using it over and over. The only other utility I know of in the game, as I mentioned before, are the turrets, which the turrets are good if you're playing solo or you have a crowd clearing sort of ability attached to them because they're constantly firing at enemies. And additionally, you start with the ability to only deploy 1 turret, but you can get 2 later on. Adding on, the grenades were actually really good when I attached the tentacle power to them. I could throw a grenade at a group of enemies, and it seems like if it hit at least 3, I would spawn 3 different tentacles that were all throwing items at bad guys as I was running around. There's no meter charge attached to it. It's like as soon as you hit an enemy with this tentacle power attached to something, it immediately spawns one. As for other utilities, I didn't really stop and look at them a whole lot because I think those are the only 2 that are currently available in the demo. However, when I did stop and look at them, one of them allows you to take a big anvil and slam it on enemies in front of you, which seems like a really good crowd clearing if they're enemies you've been training around the entire time. And actually, since we're talking about cool loadout options, we may as well talk about the other cool thing that this game allows you to do. I mentioned the automatic shotgun upgrade, for example. So every weapon has 2 additional upgrades for each firing mode. The cool thing is though, these are unlocked by achievements that you have to actually get yourself. You can't buy your way to them. As an example, to get the automatic shotgun to unlock, you need to get a quadruple kill with the regular shotgun, and then it's just unlocked. From there, when you're at the wardrobe in the hub area, you can assign these different abilities and different actions to your weapons and see if you like these loadouts or not. You can also see what the requisites are for the other loadouts that you're currently missing. Of course, here you can customize your diver too, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking at that. It looks like all of that, however, is based on achievements that you have to reach. The other upgrade path comes from soul fragments, which you get from beating certain enemies, bosses specifically. When you go back to the hub, you use these soul fragments to augment your character in powerful ways. There are other really powerful things, like for example, healing altars that will appear, or you can get things that will allow you to augment your weapon in the field. I guess you can also augment your ability from it, because that's what I mainly used it for. This soul fragment tree also has things like being able to permanently increase your damage, your health, that sort of stuff too. There are also charms that you can come across that give you and your team an extra boost. For example, I got Backline, which gives my teammates an extra 15% damage. The perfect thing to get when you're playing solo. You can only have one charm per player, and if you don't want to give up your charm, you can melee the one that appears and get gold from it. This is also another important thing to point out. Every player has their own unique loot, so you're not stealing loot from another player. If all 4 of you, for example, open a chest, you all 4 get your own unique rewards that the others can't see. Let's say one of you finds a charm that the other one wants. A really cool way to trade it is the person who gets that charm can pick it up, then replace it with the one they just had that they threw on the ground, and now everyone can see that charm. So the player who really wanted, say, the extra 15 damage for his teammates can pick that up. That sounds really confusing. Before bosses, if you found a key in your current run, you can use it to unlock a door that leads to a merchant, and they give you some minor bonuses that can help with the upcoming fight. I finally had a door spawn that was before a final boss, so I could see what the key would lead to, and it ended up leading to a vault filled with gold. I should probably point out that gold also seems to only stay there for that run, so keep that in mind. Now, the combat in Abyssus is quick and frantic. It's part of the reason I ended up really enjoying this game from the start. Your character moves quick between enemies and has a very fast pace, plus they have a really quick dodge that they can use, which is great when you have to weave between enemies to avoid the onslaught of their attacks. Enemies pretty clearly telegraph their attacks for the most part, and they start to fill up the area really quick, especially in this second area that I was in. So you do have to worry about your positioning and the ability to clear out enemies. Enemies themselves are pretty cool and seem to be well thought out. A good example is in the first area, you're fighting all these golems. You end up getting used to enemies who don't really push you that quickly, at least. So all of a sudden, a spinning top enemy is introduced who just rushes at you. In the second area, the frogs are pretty easy to kill and telegraph their attacks. So to make up for that, they introduce a floating frog that makes very specific enemies invulnerable until you kill the floating frog. It seems like all enemies are really well thought out, and they're all fun to fight against in their unique way. Even the bosses are really fun, and you pick up on what their attack patterns are going to be really quick. There is a small issue that I had in the first fight, and it's against one of the final golem bosses. I can't remember what it's called. Essentially, it has an area attack that makes the area underneath you glow to let you know, hey, there's about to be a lightning strike. However, if you're standing in a very specific spot, you can't always see the tile glowing red beneath you, at least until it's too late. That is one thing that I kind of had an issue with in the game. Some of the attacks do get telegraphed really well, like you see the big wide cones, but attacks like the golem making the floor light up didn't really get telegraphed that well. Oh, and I guess the other thing that I might suggest is a prompt when you click return to menu. That would be nice. I accidentally backed out of the lobby twice by clicking that when I was playing with my friend Tim. I honestly thought this was going to be another short review, but I think it's going to be up there with time, honestly. I really like Abyssus though. It's out in August, and I'm going to be bothering my friends so much to come and play it with me. I mean, to give you an idea of how much I liked playing this demo and how much fun that I had, for Steam Next Fest this year, this is the demo I have sunk the most amount of time in, and it doesn't feel like I've put that much time into it. I've enjoyed playing it, and the rounds seem to go by really fast, even though they take about half an hour each. It makes it a great game. A dangerous time waster, but a great game. That's going to be it. If you guys like the video, do me a favor, like the video, leave a comment telling me if you're going to be picking up Abyssus, and if you're new here, drop a subscribe. I will be back tomorrow for the final Steam Next Fest review, where I talk about my favorite game of the Next Fest. I'll even give a quick little recap of all the games we talked about and kind of how I felt about the entire experience in general. So, I will catch you guys tomorrow.